Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to um, this YouTube Live. It's funny because there's always a little bit of a delay. So I'm talking, but there's like literally nothing happening yet on the live. Um, awesome. Well, I am super excited to be here. I'm excited to get to announce the winner of our comment contest for the end of 2022. Uh, this is a contest that I'm planning to keep doing. Um, and I want to keep doing it on a more regular basis. So in the past, we've done it with a much bigger prize, where we dedicate a couple of full working days to to the winner, and we run the contest for like a whole year. This contest ran for just like 3 months, actually 4 months. And so what I'd like to do is actually go ahead and for the first quarter of 2023, so January, February, and March, all the videos that published during that time, every comment will be entered into a contest and we'll have a prize like this one. I just decided to do this like in the last hour. So it will probably be an annual Project 24 membership, but who knows? Maybe we'll come up with some other cool prizes. In fact, if you have cool ideas for prizes, go ahead and comment on this video if there's something else that you think would be really beneficial to you. Um, Maybe we can consider some other options. All right, I hope everybody can hear me pretty well. So let me know if you're having a hard time hearing. um, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So without any further ado, and by the way, I am going to take questions. So if you have questions you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and type them into the chat. We will go for a little while. I probably won't go like an hour like I normally do. I sometimes go even longer. I've got my family where I'm home for the holidays. It's just nice to be here, and so they're excited to hang out with me for the rest of the evening. So I'll probably go at least a half hour, but then we'll probably stop it at that point. So, all right, I have an envelope here. The envelope does have the winner for this comment contest, but if you didn't win and you were really hoping you would, it's okay. Again, we're going to keep running this thing. So here we go. I'm going to open it up here. The winner is Steph Morgan. This is the YouTube handle at Steph Morgan 39. The comment, I'm going to go ahead and here, I'll even make it so you guys can see. See, did it focus on that? Okay. The comment that won it, let me go ahead and share that with you real quick, was this one. This one right here. So Steph says, "Hi Ricky, Project 24 member here. Love the video." So this was on last week's video, actually. Just randomly, that's the way it worked out. Um, and she says, "It was hilarious. I'm super excited to watch you build this site. I do have an important question though. How are you not freezing your bits off? Honestly, I had icicles forming just watching you. LOL." So kind of a funny thing. And I replied to the comment, but I just thought I'd share this here too because I just thought that was really funny. Um, I'm kind of weird in this sense. I I don't know. I just have like a different temperature profile than most people. So I grew up here in Idaho, where it gets pretty chilly, and but also just having done a lot of family history work and stuff, um, I have a lot of Scandinavian ancestry. So I think that maybe has something to do with it. My ancestors were from very far north. So anyway, that's why I can handle the cold. It's kind of a joke. Um, Honestly, that day, like I had no idea what we were going to go do. I didn't know we were going to be outside a fair amount, um, and so I just left. I got in the car and I didn't bring my jacket with me at all. But that's actually pretty normal for me. One of our video editors, Cody, he kind of laughs because I'll come in to the office and it's like 30 degrees outside or less, and still just wearing a short sleeve shirt. And he's like, "Still t-shirt weather." Anyway, I think it's funny. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go to the questions here in the comments in the chat. Okay, so I have two questions here about AI, and I knew this was going to come up tonight, so I knew I was going to need to address it anyway. But anyway, I'm glad that a couple of you asked about it. So where do I see AI going? How do I see that affecting blogs? There, honestly, obviously, like none of us can completely tell the future, but I do have some thoughts around this. I've put a lot of thought into it, and I am planning to do a video soon. I, I want to test out the tools quite a bit. I want to. I have played around with ChatGPT. I think it's kind of fun, and so I've seen what it can do. I've seen how human it can sound. I've seen how you can literally like have a conversation. You can ask it a question, and then with its response, you can build on that, and that's pretty cool. Um, but I see severe limitations too. So we'll talk about that. I do want to try it out. I want to see how. If I think it's realistically that helpful for bloggers to try to use, but also what the impact it's going to have. So let's break that down just a little bit here. Um, okay, so AI, what's the impact of it now in the short to medium term as well as in the long term? First of all, yes, Google's concerned about AI. Google should be concerned because if people are going to go to a tool, let's say they take this, they turn this into a tool that is just readily available and usable. Um, you ask a question, and rather than searching the web, you're just getting a straight answer directly from the AI. Now, what does that do? Well, it means that all the people that used to ask those simple questions that Google would answer with a snippet, now they're not doing that necessarily on Google anymore, right? They're going straight to the AI tool. And so Google loses traffic there. However, the kinds of questions that the AI can feasibly answer well and sufficiently are usually not the kinds of questions that we bloggers really should be answering. And we're as guilty of this as anybody, but a lot of times we have answered very simple response post type questions where, I mean, it's a very simple question and the answer to the question is very factual. I'll give you an example. In fact, in a recent video, we showed an article and we used this example. Nathan and Anna reviewed an article and talked about how they would improve it. The article was about what's the difference between a dinner fork and a salad fork. Now, the specific differences an AI tool can answer. Why? Because they're just very fact-based, right? There's no subjectivity needed. Whereas if somebody asks, what is um, what's the best type of fork to use for fettuccine pasta? Now, maybe that's most people would just say, yeah, just use a dinner fork, right? But some people might have a slightly different answer and have a specific reason for it. And so when you're asking like, what's the best of something? Now this feels like it could get into product reviews really fast, and product reviews are fine, but we don't want all of our content to be that. But there are a lot of questions like that where somebody's experience with the topic gives them a perspective that a beginner doesn't have. If somebody's asking me, what kind of piano should I get for my child who's starting piano lessons? I might give them a different answer depending on what their goals are for that child, how old the child is, etc., as well as what their budget is, honestly. And so there's a lot of room for subjective responses. And we as bloggers, when we have experience in a topic or can at least do some good original research that helps somebody out, we can provide those kinds of answers. And so what do I think we as bloggers need to do? I think we need to start focusing more on providing that kind of content where we lean on our knowledge, on our expertise, as well as on real research that we can do, where we're not just answering questions that are purely fact-based, if that makes sense. Now, there's room for that, and we should answer a lot of those fact-based questions within the content on our website. I think that's totally fine, but I'm probably not going to be writing so many response posts that are specifically answering fact-based questions. I'll include that information in the content of the site and potentially rank for it quite a bit and get a lot of traffic that way. But I do think that that's where AI is going to have the advantage. Now, when I look at AI content today, AI is still just spinning. AI does not generate new thought. It doesn't do it. AI will never be able to completely replace real people. It may get to a point where it can do a great job of aggregating data, but it can never have its own real experience. AI is not riding dirt bikes. AI is not, hang gliding or jumping out of airplanes or anything like that. It can't have those experiences, and so it can't provide that advice and that experiential knowledge. It can provide facts. And here's another problem that I see with AI right now. The AI is often wrong but it doesn't think it's wrong. So it uses the information available to it and answers the question definitively as if it were totally right. But sometimes it is completely made up, completely wrong. In fact, just the other day, Julia was testing it out. Julia on our team, she was looking at it and she typed in, "What is today's date?" And it told her that it was April 20, whatever, not even this year, right? And it was because it was kind of the date, the end date of where that AI's sort of information was able to pull from. And she said, "Are you sure?" And it responds, "Yes, of course I'm sure." And she said, "What if I told you that it's, December 27th, 2022?" And then it says, "Well, then I would believe you." And then she says, "So you trust me more than you trust you?" And it's like, "No, I trust myself the most." And she had this like little conversation with ChatGPT, and it definitively thought today's date was in the past. There are limitations, still some severe limitations, and anyway, we can't rely on it. Um, we can't rely on it definitively, even for fact-based stuff. But I do think that that's where AI's strength is going to lie. Whenever it can answer the question from a data set, from public, databases of any kind, that's where bloggers are going to fall to that. But you know, years ago, we got to the point where you couldn't really blog about the weather anymore, right? Because Google just tells you what the weather is. Apps just tell you what the weather is, and so there are a lot of things that Google has just been answering for us for a while anyway. Okay, I got a question here. The spam update. Any words on that? Not nothing that I really haven't said already. When it comes to Google updates, it's really important that we slow down, take a breath, and wait for things to settle down. And then we just evaluate where we are and what's missing. Now, there is something interesting that I've definitely been paying a lot of attention to over the last year or two, right? Um, and that is the importance of EAT and how we can establish EAT on our websites. I recently actually had a great conversation with Kyle Roof. Kyle's an SEO expert. He has been in the SEO space, doing SEO, studying search engines for like a decade or more. He actually has a patent for a process on how he tests different factors to see if they are part of the algorithm, and has done so pretty definitively. And he shared with me several factors that the specific things that we can do on our websites to show EAT that are very simple, very easy for search engines to identify, and that signal to the search engine that you're probably a more legitimate source than other websites that don't have these things. Very simple things. Some of them as simple as just, making sure that you have an address showing up on your website. A lot of us don't, right? Because we don't want to show our physical address on our website. But if you do have an office or access to another physical address you can use as a business address, that could actually really lend a lot of credibility from Google, because Google's not seeing a lot of the things that we do that make us look legitimate to people. Google's Google's not reading our content and determining which of us is right, right? Um, Google is just looking for signals. And so he shared with me several. It's going to be a good video. It'll come out in a couple of weeks. Okay. So anyway, there's that, right? Um, okay, I'm going to start getting through these a little bit faster. Jonathan Coker asked, "Do we think Content Warrior will ever provide search analysis as a service?" Yes, we're planning on it. The real trick is we do get some turnover in our writers every year, or actually about every 4 months, because they're college students. We have several that stay on for 2 semesters in a row, leave for the summer, then come back. So we're getting some that have a lot more experience, but it's hard to train someone to be good at search analysis. It can take some time, and so we train them on our own content, and then once their work is to a point where we're really happy with it, we set them loose, right? Um, and so we need people who we're more confident are going to stick around, people who understand more of what we're doing. So writing is a process that it's a lot easier to teach. It's a lot easier for them to pick it up and just understand it. The search analysis is something where they need to understand a lot more about what we're doing here with our content for them to be good at it. So just a little bit harder to teach. Obviously, we teach it all the time in Project 24, but even there, it often takes people a while to really have it click. And so we're working on that. Uh, we've got them now. We have several, or at least a handful of our writers who are auditing content for people. So people can order, an audit of 5 articles. And so we have a few who we have trained specifically, and again, tested them on our own content first, um, where they're going through articles, every piece of it, and looking at a whole bunch of different things and generating a report. Um, so that was the most recent thing we did. I think search analysis is coming pretty soon. All right, cool. Um, let's see. How do you broaden topical authority? An example would be having a site that ranks immediately for fabric tent content, but not general tent content. How would you grow that EAT to related topics? Yeah, so we'll just use this example, okay? So, fabric tents. So if I wanted to expand that, then you know, I would look for areas where we have as much overlap as possible. I mean, most tents use fabric of some kind, but I might start talking about other aspects of tents and in articles, and I would interlink. That's going to be a key there. Is anywhere where we have content overlap, let's look for opportunities to interlink from the articles where we have topical authority to the new content. Another thing I often like to do is from the very beginning, when I pick a few different topics or kind of subcategories to start with content wise on my website, I'll pick multiple that aren't right adjacent to each other. And that's because I fully intend to cover a much broader space within my niche. Um, and so now I have a few starting points. And then what I can do is I can start kind of connecting those to each other by filling in all this space in between them. But a big thing there is to build up topical authority in one or more specific smaller spaces, but then start moving into adjacent ones and interlinking to those articles. And you'll find that authority will spread pretty quickly. Tim asks, how important is passing core web vitals to having Google push your content? Look, if your site is not slow, you're probably just fine. Um, if you're like in the red, right, you're failing, legit failing, that could be a problem. But if you're passing a couple of them, one or two of the different tests, and one of them has just fallen a little bit into the yellow, I have not seen it impact rankings basically at all. And even Google has admitted that it's almost just a tiebreaker. They didn't go so far as to say that it's just a tiebreaker, but it's pretty close to what it is. They want us to speed up our sites. It makes the internet better. It certainly makes, if we can make our sites and then the ads on our sites load really fast, Google makes more money. They want us to make our websites fast. But still, it's going to be much more important that we have highly relevant content and that we build up authoritativeness. Okay, Mom Van Up says, I think you got to think about your behavior. What type of content do you look for when you have a question? Oh, yeah, this is kind of about the AI stuff. Absolutely. Very good. Will Project 24 be implementing training on branding for your site? Yeah, I think we will, because more and more, there's multiple paths you can go on, right? We have Project 24 members. There are several that I know of personally, who I've worked with over the years, who they love their portfolio of websites, right? They kind of started with one and then another, and then now they're all about the business. They start sites, they do their search analysis, they edit their content, whatever, and they get a whole process, right? And they get writers working in everything, and they're kind of doing this at scale. Then there's the path of, I kind of want one or two bigger sites, and I'm willing to build a brand around this. And to me, that's more fun. I do some of both, but to me, that's a lot of fun. And so that's something that absolutely we will start talking about more in Project 24. I think you're going to see with the charity site we're doing, as well as with there's another project that I hinted at in today's video that I'm starting up first of the year. And this one's going to be a secret project. So the site that I'm working on, I'm not announcing yet. I'm committing to announce it after a year, and I'm challenging myself to to hit $4,000 a month within 1 year on that website. And so I will be working on it. I will be providing updates throughout the year, talking about learnings and things, but the specific details of the site will be 1 year before they're revealed. So we'll have a very open public one and then a behind the scenes one. So it'll be kind of cool to see how that goes. But both of those will be sites that will be building up a brand around. So as we do that, I think we can absolutely include more of that within Project 24. All right. I'm going to jump down here. Um, let's see. When's the next update for Acabado? Um, as soon as we can. So here's the deal with our tools, our software. Um, it's not the primary thing that we work on. It is important that we keep them up to date. And I do actually have some cool things that I want to add to Acabado that I think will make it better for us. But but here's the thing: we have really limited bandwidth on what projects we can do, and so do our developers. So the developers we've been using, this team, they recently underwent a merger and then a split almost immediately after. They're also working on another pretty big project for me right now, that I think will have a lot of benefit for us and for Project 24 members and for really all of you following us. I think it's going to be really helpful. But it's a big project, the biggest we've done with them at all. And so Acabado it's probably time, honestly. There's several things that we would like to tweak and improve with it. One thing I would love to do, and I'm trying to decide if it's worth it, but to either build out Acabado or honestly maybe even create a new theme that has the full site editing capabilities. That's where we're headed. So where WordPress is gone, honestly, like building themes the old way, it doesn't make sense to put a whole lot more into that other than to keep it up to date. And so anyway, I'm considering that, trying to decide what to do with it. But for now, there should be an update fairly soon for Acabado that should add some new things. One of the things I want to add, by the way, is some footer customizability. I want to be able to build out and have spaces automatically for you to add contact information in the footer, your site logo there in the footer, and have it look nice, have it look pretty. Right now, the footer is basically built to be able to have a very simple horizontal menu and then a copyright line where it does include the current year for copyright, which is kind of cool that it'll just stay up to date even when the year changes. But yeah, we got more to do there. Okay. Let's see. Donato Spoonzy Rossi says, I'm a newbie. Can you recommend the best way to learn WordPress? So far, put 20 hours in with little progress. I'm looking for to set up a P2P website so members can communicate with each other. So yeah, the best thing you can do, you need to understand a few different things. You need to understand like what functionality is WordPress, and then what functionality is in your theme, and then what you need plugins for. So WordPress has a lot of built-in functionality, but the theme, basically determines how everything looks. And some WordPress themes are going to have certain capabilities built into them that others will not. And then for a lot of the things, you're going to need plugins, right? So if you want people to be able to communicate with each other, you're going to need to find some sort of plugin to put on your website, or create a community in a third part, like a separate system, which you can do, right? So our Project 24 community is through Discourse, which is hosted separately, but we have a single sign-on with our website. So people log in on the website, they go to the community, and it's all tied to each other. A lot of people will just use like a Discord server. You can also use WordPress plugins that have community or at least forum type capabilities. A lot of those aren't going to look as nice or be as user-friendly as like a Discord. So there are a lot of ways to do it. For learning Project 24, the best thing you can do is just Google, how to create, community-based website in WordPress. There are YouTube videos for everything. There are so many tutorials out there. And then that's it. You just have to do it. You just have to play around in the back end and do it. You got to put in the hours. That's the best way to learn it. It's one of those things that like, once it kind of clicks how everything works, it's not that crazy. Is blogging still worth it in 2023? Is it hard for a brand new website? I absolutely think it's still worth it. I do think we are going to need to continuously adapt. There's a lot of, other media. I think it's getting harder to just build a blog without putting any branding behind it. I think completely avoiding social media is getting more and more difficult. We probably need to find what social media our intended audience is on, and then just be involved in social media, um, whichever platforms that we need to be involved in. If you're on Instagram, right, like go just participate on Instagram, right? If your audience is going to be on Facebook, go participate in Facebook groups for your niche. Participate with under a profile or as a page that is branded as your website's brand, and just be out there participating. That's actually going to do a lot of good to just help build up rapport around your business. Um, and so we just are going to probably need to do some of that. If you can incorporate video content into your blog, that's only going to help even more. Braden asks, is a PO box adequate as an address? I think it's better than not having any contact address. Um, I don't think it shows quite as much legitimacy as having a physical address. But if I were working only out of my home, I would rather use a PO box than my home address. Personally, just for personal safety reasons, you just don't want to share your home address with everybody in the world, and you don't want to get all the spam email or spam mail and all that stuff. Um, so anyway, I think it's better than nothing. Um, let's see. Um, Jonathan says Project 24 Lifer, and I appreciate that, Jonathan. We try to make it value added, and honestly, one of the other things we're working on is more value for people who are getting further and further along. We're getting to a point where in Project 24 we have a lot of members who are reaching high levels of success. We do a quarterly mastermind for people who are at the full-time income milestone. And we have a lot of discussions around scaling their business, around hiring people, around, I mean, just all of those kinds of things. And so it's pretty neat. So we're kind of looking on some of the sort of next tier opportunities for those people who are sticking around. Let's see. Um, okay, here's a good question. Rindy Tech says, do you think that low score article will affect our good score article, even if they're on a different keyword completely? So if you have an article that just doesn't do well, is that going to impact your good content on your website? According to Google, with their helpful content update this year, the answer would be yes. So if you have content that they deem to be not helpful or of a really low quality, then it can impact the entirety of your website's performance. Now, I don't think one article that's just not great is a problem. I think having an article that doesn't rank on page 1, 2, or even 5 necessarily means it's viewed as low quality by Google. It may just be that it's high competition. But if we are creating content that's very obviously mass produced, um, and honestly, if you just Google helpful content update and see what they list a lot of specific things. I think I talked about it in a video a while back. Um, Specific things that they're determining make for really low quality content. And so avoid those things and you're going to be fine. But if you do have a lot of that kind of content, it actually could end up harming your website. And so I would just work on improving that content. Um, let's see. I'm going to jump down a little ways further. Can we just have a hangout chat as a mastermind? Yeah, from Mom Van Up. You all have changed our lives. I think we should do some of that. Just, I think that'd be fun just to hang out. I don't really like if I'm one of those people who it's like if I don't have like a specific purpose, I don't know. I have a hard time. I feel like I don't know. It feels like it'd be something nobody would want to come to, but maybe they would. Sounds like they would. Let's see. Um, I got several people asking about ChatGPT. They must have missed the first 10 minutes of this live. Um, oh boy. I know I have not been living under a rock. I know all about ChatGPT. Again, we already spent like 10 minutes of this live on that conversation. So, um, yes, we're researching ChatGPT. Come on, guys. Um, when does the giveaway start? I did the giveaway at the beginning. You can watch the replay, no problem. So I did the giveaway Steph Morgan. By the way, if you're watching, Steph, and even if you're not, if you catch this later, whatever, I found I have your email address, so I will reach out to you directly. You're welcome to either use it to cover a second year of Project 24. Steph's already a Project 24 member, or you're welcome to gift it to somebody else. So I'll contact you via email, and then we're gonna do another giveaway for Q1 of 2023. So keep commenting, and we'll keep it up. Um, let's see. Dr. Geneva Speaks asks, please explain what you were saying about themes and no longer necessary. Um, Themes are still necessary. You have to have one. You can't build a WordPress site without a theme. However, the way that WordPress is going is that um, they're building in a lot of capability to be able to do a lot of customization on your website, just basically within WordPress itself. It started with the Gutenberg block-based editing that they use for pages and posts. Um, and as that gets better and better and better, the old way of doing like page builders, especially to be able to have really, highly designed websites, that's kind of going away because um, you know Gutenberg is even capable of doing a fair amount there. And so what a lot of modern themes are doing is their page building is block space, just like Gutenberg. And so what they're doing is uh, they're just building on top of it and adding additional block customizations and different block types rather than creating a whole new page builder that uses, like, for example, we have a lifetime license with Divi, and they're working their tails off trying to speed up that theme because it's so overloaded with code in order to allow you to customize everything, uh, because it's not block based, right? It's its own ecosystem of design. So it doesn't work within native WordPress, and so it's a lot slower. So what a lot of themes are doing, Astra, um, we're just moving more and more toward full site editing themes that basically open up um, all of the capabilities that WordPress has. And so even if you want to just use 2022 theme that's free from WordPress, they just put out 2023. If you want to use the free theme there, you have full site editing capabilities. So you can actually edit like the header and the footer and all sorts of stuff without having to pay for a theme that opens those up for you, which is what you used to have to do, right? With Divi, I could make a really cool looking footer, and that was needed. Nowadays, as long as you have a theme that enables full site editing, you can pretty much do most of that, without needing anything fancy. Um, awesome. Um, Autism Some Assembly Required says Acabado question. Their Acabado's not updating. They're at 1.2.6. Now it's 1.3.1. They click update, but it never updates. So I think it was at that spot, 1.2.6 to 1.2.7, that I don't know the details of why, but the developers specifically told us that that would have to be a manual update because of something. And they said they fixed something, so that shouldn't ever have to happen again. And since then, everything's actually, the updates have gone really, really well. So to do that, you just go to incomeschool.com and log in and go to the Acabado area. And from there, you can just download the latest version. And then you just go to your website to appearance and themes and then add new and upload it. And then your site will give you the option to replace the existing version of Acabado, and just do that and it'll be up to date. So it only takes a couple of extra minutes. It's just not as simple as clicking the button one time. But anyway, it'll work from here on out. So sorry about that. Um, awesome. Well, we're at 35 minutes. And I should probably get back to my family, but I'll take let me take a couple more here. So Joseph Tarantola says just hit 2,000 unique views per month. Any suggestions or tips on finding legal lawyer / property damage lead affiliate networks? Find a network or build my own list of law firms per state. So I don't know all the details around this, but I remember um, Jim telling me, because we have a website, a legal website, um, around patents, right? Patentrebel.com. And he said that lawyers are not allowed to pay for leads or something like that. So it's kind of a tricky spot. So, for our website, because it's about patent law and, we're kind of opening up and going into the into trademarks, copyright, that sort of stuff. We do have, like, we are working to become affiliates with LegalZoom. There's a couple options, and these are just legal services that aren't like law firms. And LegalZoom, right? They'll do documentation to create businesses like an LLC. They'll do they can do provisional patents, which is patent pending, and trademark and copyright. They can do those for you as services, and so they are allowed to pay for leads, and so we can be an affiliate for them. However, apparently we're not allowed to sell leads, or lawyers are not allowed to buy leads, at least in the U.S. So I don't know um, the specific laws around that. So that's kind of a tricky one. It's a good question though. Let's see. I just launched my website a few weeks ago, but I can't find it on Google when I search for it. What can I do? So if you want to search for it and just determine whether or not it's actually on Google, because this isn't uncommon. If you just started a site and it's pretty new, um, it could be that while Google has already crawled and maybe even indexed some of it, it's not ranking anywhere, even for like the name of your website, right? So I just gave the example of my website, patentrebel.com. If I just typed in patent rebel, I would find it. But when it was brand new, you might not at first. And so one way to just check is to, actually, let me just show this because I can do that. Here we go. So I could do site colon patentrebel.com. So the site colon search is going to search for all of the pages that exist under this domain, under this URL, patentrebel.com, that exist within Google's index. And so if you do a site colon search and then type in your website, you're going to see all of the pages that Google has indexed on your for your site. So that's something you can do to just check and see whether or not Google has actually indexed your website. If they haven't, I have a video series from earlier this year where I actually talked about some of the things you can do to make sure that you're not preventing Google from indexing your site, and some things that you can do to help, ensure that your site has the best chance of getting indexed as quickly as possible. Google doesn't have to index anything. They do what they want. They want to index everything. And so, or at least as much as they can. And so they're incentivized to do that, but they don't necessarily do it right away, especially on a brand new website. Okay. All right, I'm going to call it so I can go spend a little bit more time with my family. It's been a good holiday season. I've been able to take a few days off, taking a few more days here just to spend time with family. I think it's fantastic to do that. So if you have that opportunity, enjoy the holidays. Take a little bit of time for yourself. Get refreshed if you're stressed, like most people are these days, and then just get ready to hit the ground running as soon as you're ready to get back to it. So thanks everybody for joining us. Again, the replay will be up shortly. So for any of you that just got here, but have a happy holiday season. It's been fantastic here. I hope it's been great for you too. We'll see you all later.